Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Hello and welcome to the AFTN Preview Podcast, episode 281. I am Neymar's diving instructor, Gideon and Nick. With me, a Dutch gentle giant and the biggest member of the Ali Gazelle tackling fan club, it's Nick Ruprecht.
Greetings.
So Nick, with Joe unavailable off the bench today, how do you think the AFTN listeners will receive a podcast with no Irish or Scottish accents involved?
I think it could be music to their ears.
Alright, so this show will include just a little bit of World Cup flavor. To begin, opening question. If there was an Oscars for Neymar's best moment of this World Cup, what would it be? Including dives, if you want.
Yeah, I think that's actually what I went. I went for, I think the VAR reviewed PK against Costa Rica. That was, I like that. Very dramatic.
Yes.
Very dramatic.
For me, I was watching the game against Mexico on, I think it was Monday, and just that dive where he went down and the Mexico coach came over and just tapped him, just not even touched him, and he just rolled over. It seemed for an eternity, and there's so many videos and spin-offs made of that, and it's quite funny. All right, so completing sentences, keep it moving here. The much anticipated Whitecaps Canada Day game was
not good.
Not good.
Not good.
I went with awful because again, disappointed. But tickets to the game went to it, and was excited. Special occasion for Canada and the Whitecaps, and was left disappointed. The Whitecaps, number 2, the Whitecaps should have scored blank goals on Sunday.
I think they should have scored 2 goals. I think.
I went with 1. The Kamara goal off the crossbar was the closest they came, really.
I think, well, how many shots did they have? 25?
Something like that, yeah. It was a high number.
It was a very high number of shots. So I think you could have at least had, 1 goal for every 10 shots is a pretty good return, I think.
And at number 3, Kendall Waston returning and being thrust into the lineup was a blank decision.
I think it was a bad decision.
Bad decision. Okay. Why do you say that?
I mean, he's coming back from... admittedly, he didn't play every single World Cup game for Costa Rica, but I think he does have a... Doesn't he have a maybe injury as well?
Yeah, he was took off at halftime, but I didn't see him I didn't see him on the bench or anything like that. So
so I think maybe it's just rushing him back in. And I mean, I can understand why you want to put him back into the lineup. I mean, he's a fantastic defender. Yeah. He's played in the World Cup. He scored goals for Costa Rica in the World Cup too. So congrats to him. So I think maybe it was just a rushed decision, maybe. Not necessarily a bad decision, but a rushed decision.
I was going to say the same. Playing, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and then the travel to get back to Vancouver in an earlier sort of game on Sunday at 4 o'clock. Kickoff is interesting. Right? Team opposition, Chicago Fire, Nick. What are your thoughts on them this season?
Tactically interesting.
That's for sure.
Is one thing I would say about them. For sure. I mean, recently they've looked pretty good. I mean, they just beat NYCFC, and that's no small task to beat that team of that caliber. But I think they need to show it more consistently as well. I think they have a fantastic coach, and I think they have I think they're really using the versatility of Schweinsteiger in many different ways.
I think he's played 3 different defensive midfield positions this year total. So.
And CB as a
sweeper. Included, which is interesting.
Yeah.
To say the least. So they're 6th in the East right now. 6 wins, 7 losses, 5 draws. They're also, same as the Whitecaps, they have 23 points, which we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
Below teams above them are Columbus and New England. Surprising.
It's not, for Columbus, I would say it's not surprising that they're below them. But for New England, yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it, but then New England is, I think, the surprise turnaround team for the Eastern Conference anyway. I mean, they were terrible last year. And, now they've locked in really well defensively. They kind of traded some of their older stars, I guess. Like
Kamar and Wynn.
Kamar and Wynn.
Yeah.
Well, especially Wynn. And I guess they're bringing in newer players. So for New England, it's a little bit surprising, yes. For Columbus, no. We know they're Greg Berhalter's attacking menace. So I think it's surprising that they are below New England, but not surprising that they're below Columbus for me.
Next 2 of 4, including the game on Saturday, are versus teams below the playoff line. So they host Philly after Vancouver, away at Dallas, then host TFC. So a couple favorable games for them. Look out for that. They're the only playoff team above the playoff line with a negative goal differential. I thought it was really interesting with a -4.
I think that shows the problems they've had with their back line. When you have someone like Schweinsteiger being played in your back line, when really he's not that fast, he's not that athletic. I mean, and he's not that tall. That speaks volumes of what your problems are and where you're experiencing difficulties. So I think they basically had him there to organize the back line, to show leadership from the back line, and also playing that sweeper position, which I don't think has been played since the 1960s. But
I mean, to touch on their defensive, kind of overhaul from last year, they didn't keep Joe Almeida, questionable for them. Johan Kapelhoff's been good. Dax McCarty has always been a solid at number 6 holding there. I think he plays well with Schweinsteiger because they kind of play off each other. That's fun to watch. But
they're both fantastic with the ball, and they can both pick a pass. So it's basically like, well, choose your poison. I mean, there was a game, I think last game, Dax McCarty had that fantastic through ball from like halfway for Katai, and then he just...
Katai, we'll talk about him. He's been exceptional this year.
Yeah.
Unbeaten in the last 5 as well. Wins at the beginning and end with 3 draws in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Good run of form for them. Whitecaps have played some teams like Colorado and others that have had good runs of form coming into the games, and the Whitecaps have kind of lost out to them.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully the Whitecaps can bounce back, and hopefully any kind of tactical surprises, because their coach Panovich, he just loves to spring tactical surprises. I guess he's like a real... But then, I mean, that's kind of his background as being a tournament coach.
Yeah, he was with the U20s of Serbia at a World Cup before he came to Chicago. And, if he finds success in surprising with tactics, then why change it up, right? Like, you see a team studying game film, he's going to play this, formation, and all of a sudden he changes it. What do? They can't just change last minute, right? The lineups just a bit before the other team, so you don't really have time to change your whole game plan there.
You're kind of locked in for the first 20-30 minutes of the game. I think he's been having... He's a very good pickup for Chicago, honestly. I think I like that he tries different things and he tries to find solutions to the problems of the team. Does he not... The question that I have, I guess, is, do you think he has a system? I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like he has a system.
No.
He seems to be more reacting to the opposing team and reacting to his own weaknesses in his own team. And I mean, he's been doing a pretty good job at it so far. I mean, like you said, he's in the playoffs, even with a negative goal differential.
Yeah, and there's been a complete shift of power in the East this year with TFC.
They just
yesterday.
Bombed.
This is
Thursday
morning, just for reference for AFTN and soccer people. So we watched that game last night. Darwin Quintero hat-trick was just exceptional.
Fantastic.
But TFC is on
a nosedive.
A nosedive. Yeah, and I mean, with Altidore out, still their defensive issues are horrific. You can't rely on Giovinco every game.
Yeah, I really... It's weird. I guess maybe it's because that group of players that they had that gave them that solidity, that allowed Giovinco to go forward, that allowed Altidore to thrive. I guess in a sense they're kind of aging out or what, you know? Yeah. Like, what is the problem here? Because basically they just kept their team the same. Is it fatigue? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to watch this year for TFC and the whole league after a great year last year winning the MLS Cup. Mm-hmm. So we talked about Paunovic and his international resume. He signed some great players, Schweinsteiger to name Nikolic as well. Mm-hmm. Another one is Alexander Katai.
Yeah.
He has 8 goals this year with 2 game winners. The next closest is Nikolic with 7. But Katai has 57 shots. Nikolic has 26. It just shows you how of a high press that they like to put Katai at the field. As a fast guy. We saw the goal against NYCFC this past weekend.
I think I read some articles as well, though, that were questioning, even though with his such great numbers, they were questioning Katai, and it's a valid question because he's bounced around from so many teams. He's on loan and he's trying to win a contract. So I guess there's a worry probably from Chicago's management side of if we give him this contract, considering that he's bounced around from so many different teams, will he keep that consistency with it? You know, will he take this ability that he has to play for a contract and bring it forward if they give him a contract?
Bastian Schweinsteiger, still the main man with 5 assists. But, I mean, with Nikolic, Katai, guys in the other team like Brandon Vincent, one of their wonderful pickups in the MLS draft a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Is he still the main man in Chicago, or is there a new regime coming in?
On one hand, I think he is, just because of the versatility that he's been showing for Chicago. How many players can you have that could basically play all down the spine of your team, basically, from AMC all the way down to CB? I think, yes, he's shown that he has that ability. He may not have the physical chops, but he definitely has the mental and technical ability to do that. Although I do think, Dax McCarty as well, he gives him a run for the money, and he plays off him very complementary, like we said earlier, with each other as well.
Nikolic still important. Alan Gordon still scoring goals. Quiet pickup of Ellis from SKC has 2 goals, as well as Katai, new pickups this year. So Ellis, Gordon, and Katai all new this year. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, Ellis has been fantastic. Started training with them. SKC didn't want him last year. At the end of last year. I mean, he's worked out.
He's been, and I mean, also Alan Gordon giving them a nice, very tall center forward.
Yes. He's been
target man kind of option. Yeah. And he's still scoring goals, which is fantastic. But Ellis, I mean, he's been fantastic. I mean, he plays around along that right-hand side, right? He's been such a good, solid, defensive workhorse as well for them. I mean, yes, he's picked up goals, but he's been very good, I think, on giving them a little bit of defensive solidity, which they have obviously been having problems with that.
As we talked about formation briefly earlier, they're playing a 4-3-3 with overlapping outside backs in Vincent and Rafa Ramos, a new guy from Orlando. Mm-hmm. Whitecaps played a 5-4-1 against Colorado, a solid block of 5-4-1 with 4 center backs in their lineup on Sunday. Do you think the Whitecaps fare better against different formations, against different personnel? What do you think there is the Whitecaps' key to kind of counteract the Chicago overlapping runs and tactics?
Well, I think part of it is our wingers doing a lot of defensive work. And I don't think that's going to be a problem with Davies, especially. That's basically the key, is making sure our wingers are able to track, those runs, switch off, communicate when necessary. And especially, though, with that, playing that high, though, that opens it up to, allowing Davies to run or to Chair to run into that space. And any team that does that, plays with fire, basically. So I think it's the offensive threat that really is going to be, they have to be smart in choosing their runs forward.
Talk about strikers there, and leaky defense for them, but they rival Fernando Torres. That seems imminent. Iker Casillas is rumored, but he signed a new contract to Porto, so he's staying there. But Torres on the move to Chicago. Is that what they need right now, or is it more defense orientated?
I definitely would not pick him up. That's if I was a manager, I would look at what I have. Katai, Nikolic, Alan Gordon. What does Fernando Torres really bring that you don't already have? I mean, maybe it brings some shirt sales, but at the end of the day, I think what they really need is a CB, somebody to organize that back line and step up. And yeah, I think Fernando Torres is personally not what Chicago needs.
One last question here, more of a funny one. Do you think it makes sense to have a soccer team and a TV show share the same name?
I think not that great, but then it goes back to that thing of, as long as they're not the same product, you can get away with it. That's my opinion.
All right. So with Chicago preview done, we're now on to the World Cup flavor of a special 3-man Do You Know Who I Am for Nick Ruprecht.
Uh-oh.
All right, so I've combined an hour of research, 3 players that have played in the last 3 World Cups. One is current, the other 2 are former MLS players. 2010 World Cup, 2014, and this ongoing World Cup right now, 2018. So, are you ready, Nick?
As ready as I ever will be.
All right. this we'll see how much you get, if it'll count towards the real Do You Know Who I Am standing. I just wanted to kind of throw Nick through a loop here with his school year done and kids not asking him questions anymore. I thought I might ask him some. All right, so the 2010 World Cup participant. I was born on March 11th, 1978.
Going back.
Okay. My birth country is in Africa.
Okay.
I was part of an Eastern Conference team for 2 seasons in MLS.
Okay.
I am my country's all-time leading scorer with 65 goals.
Yeah, still no.
Still no. Okay, well, this one. Okay, we're getting to the nitty-gritty now. I won a Champions League title in 2012 with Chelsea.
Didier Drogba.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right.
there we
go. Okay, that's 1. Nice. Well done. 5 clues there. All right.
Didn't he stop a civil war as well?
Something. That man is a legend.
Yeah.
I was going to say the next clue. I currently play in the USL and am an owner. I formed a formidable partnership with Nacho from Montreal, and I am Didier Drogba. All right, well done, Nick. 1 down. Second one, 2014 World Cup participant. I was born on November 30th, 1984.
Okay.
I had 81 caps for my national team with only 1 goal. I started my career with Ajax.
Who is Zlatan Ibrahimovic?
No. Good try, though. I don't think Sweden was in the World Cup in 2014.
No, they weren't. Yeah, no.
I joined this MLS Western Conference team in 2016 for half of a season. Before joining Galatasaray, a bonus hint.
Yeah, no.
This one's going to give it away. I played in 2 World Cups for the Oranje.
No. Oh, how can I not get this?
Okay. Clue number 6. I should have been red carded in the biggest game of my career for a tackle on Andre Iniesta. Nigel de Jong. Yes,
Nigel
right.
de Jong.
Well done. All right.
Not our de Jong.
No. I sure hope not. All right, next. 2018 World Cup participant. This one's a little bit more difficult. Those 2 weren't first word. I was born on February 7th, 1987. All right. My first club was Gothenburg in Sweden. Right? I have 16 caps for my national team. This MLS Western Conference team snatched me up in the 2017 preseason.
He's a winger, isn't he?
Not really.
CB?
CB right back in center mid.
Yeah.
After leaving Gothenburg in 2010, I played for teams in 4 different countries, including another return to my first club. In between, I'm an outside back and defensive midfielder.
Yeah, his name is escaping me.
Okay, let's do the last clue. I'll give it to you. But I wear a headband. This one's just for Joe. I wear a headband. Okay? Because Marco Donadell never going to forget that one. And then I am Gustav Svensson.
Yeah.
All right. That was, you know what? That was a tough one.
I'll take 2 out of 3.
I'll take, you know what? Bonus question. This one, I don't know who would get this wrong, but who is the current player out of those 3 between Nigel de Jong, Didier Drogba, and Gustav Svensson?
Gustav Svensson.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well done, Nick. Well done. If I had a clap soundbite, I'd put that in right now. All right. Now moving on. Whitecaps. Coming off a difficult one on Saturday. The boys from the review podcast on Sunday nights on CITR did a good job of kind of recapping that one there. Mm-hmm. Just quickly, 18 games played, 6 wins, 7 losses, 5 draws, -9 goal differential. That really... The 2 losses to Kansas City, 6-0, and against Philadelphia, 4-0. Those really jump out of your games.
The Atlanta game.
And the Atlanta game as well, yeah, 4-1. That can't be forgotten. Which is the second worst in Western Conference. They're -9 goal differential, and they're above the playoff line. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean a lot right now, come end of September. When playoff... It's always crazy, August, September, October, with the adjusting of playoff line combinations. What do you think of, just the Whitecaps numbers right now?
Speaking especially about that goal differential. I mean, if you take out those thrashings, I think it's a fairly respectable goal differential. And it's tight. I mean, the MLS has always kind of been tight in that sense. If you take out those thrashings, but real life, you can't take out those thrashings.
Yes, I was going to say, it's still in there, but I mean, they've recovered well, and that's what matters, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I think... Joe really likes to harp on those points per game. So I think that's really what it's going to come down to. Can the Whitecaps have a good points per game? And I think as well, when we were talking about Chicago, that's really what matters, the points per game. And they're kind of in the same deal as us. They've had some really bad games as well, too. So I don't think it really comes down to the wins, the losses, the -9. What can they do to make sure that they're picking up enough points as they go along? We need some more wins, really, is what it comes down to. And I think those dropped points to teams like Colorado is going to come back and could haunt us as a team.
Yeah, and I think with us not having played Seattle yet, the game on July 21st in Seattle is going to be huge. Speaking of which, the next 2 games for the Caps, Chicago on Saturday, at DC United next Saturday in the home opener for Audi Field, and I guess we'll have to talk about Wayne Rooney next week.
Yeah.
At Montreal in the Canadian Championship, which is, it's still, I know it doesn't mean anything for MLS standings, but for guys' morale and maybe fringe players that want to get into the team, that's kind of the
Tybert.
way. Exactly, Tybert, which a little shocking he didn't play in Canada Day. But
yeah.
We don't know. We're not, insiders. We're not at training all the time. We don't know what happened there, but it could have been an injury or just selection issues anyways. But yeah, guys like Tybert, maybe Simon Collin, the youngster, will get maybe a potential off the bench. Davies could start. I mean, and then after that it's in Seattle. So 3 straight Saturdays of soccer for Whitecaps fans with the Montreal mixed in there. Big couple games. Tough 3 away games after this one as well, though.
Yeah, but those 3 teams though that you mentioned, these are very winnable games. DC is bad, 11th in the East. They need that Rooney reinforcement really, and I mean Seattle is also bad, 10th in the West. They haven't been doing well. So these are teams that we can beat, that the Whitecaps can beat. But again, every game needs to still be played, like that Colorado game, right? They came in, they weren't doing well, and Yeah, frustrating a little bit. But I do think that these are very winnable games. Even the Montreal game, the Canadian Championship game. But I think we'll see some rotation. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of mentality they're going to play for these next 3 games. Is it going to be throw everybody, at these teams, but I feel that, the history is rotation happens. So, I mean, I'd be really interesting to see if, Davies plays in that Canadian Championship, because he's done really well in tournament matches. Like, if you think back to scoring goals against in the CONCACAF Championships, that's where he kind of proved that he can do things, and he's just consistently gotten better. So we'll see, I guess. But I think these are very winnable games. We need to win these games to get those, get the points.
Here at AFTN Studios, aka Gideon's house, for this week, we're always looking at picking Robbo's minds about formation changes and whatnot. This past weekend, you could put it on maybe key personnel misses like Aha, Tybert, Teixeira, Reyna. Those guys aren't missing. But, what do you think it boils down to this week? Is it going to be a formation change with Reyna and Aha maybe potentially back in, which we'll get to? Do you think that, factors in, or how do you think the Whitecaps will set up?
I think, with Reyna coming back, he should definitely be in the lineup, because he does give that linkage play. He can link the wings. He can link whoever plays up top with the striker. I think that 4-4-2 kind of formation, or 4-4-1-1, or whatever you want to call it, really playing wide on the wing, I think has been great. I mean, barring this last Colorado result. It's been surprising, for sure, because maybe there's not enough defensive solidity, playing only one really defensive midfielder. But it seemed to have been working. And I think the reason that it works is it really forces the other team to watch their wings. If they don't watch their wings, if they don't watch their wide play, they will get destroyed. And we haven't come up against a team that can really play through the center. Yes, there's a gap in the middle.
A team that I had to say would pick us apart would be Kansas City. That would, the obvious one. But other than that, teams have found a way through what our defenses, stepped in. So I think the Whitecaps have been a little bit lucky in that sense.
But the other team has to have that quality in the middle of the field to be able to play.
Yeah, and that
play
doesn't.
Up there.
Yeah.
I think with MLS, with teams being so close together in terms of quality-wise, and any team can beat any team on that week, it's a gamble, but so far it's been a gamble that's paid off, except with this Colorado team who just, defends well. And I think that Colorado team is hitting their stride. So,
who do you think, in your mind, deserves to start?
Who deserves to start? Well, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, I feel like the team that we had against Colorado got really unlucky. And I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that team again, because that team has been, they deserve a second chance, but then were people rushed in? Probably. That's my opinion. With Reyna coming back, we need him in there. I mean, from the eye test, I don't have any stats to back this up right now, but from the eye test, we play better when Reyna is in the lineup, because I think he does give that linkage. He plays more as, I feel like, a second forward or a shadow striker, or whatever you want to call it. And he plays that position well, and he can link people up, and he can score goals. So I think we need him in there.
Speaking of Reyna, the thing that I really, enjoy with him is his energy. And it doesn't matter if the team's down 2-0, 3-0. If they're up 3 or 4, he's running. He's chasing down the ball. He's not sitting back. He's kind of like a Pippo, like Mosquito. They're kind of the same player. They'll chase the ball. They know how to pick a right pass. They know how to, shoot when they need to shoot, not hold on the ball and pass it way too late.
And I think they get up in support of, Kamara.
Yeah.
they get up in support and interlink with Davies. Because otherwise, if he just runs at defenders by himself and doesn't have that option to pass, he's useless.
There's no success or goals coming at all.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we saw sort of with last season with Montero, but Reyna was still scoring. I think it ended the year with 6 goals last year on his own. And I think Montero, he's gone now, but I think Kamara is the right player to be with Reyna. We haven't seen, boatloads of goals like we'd like to. There's been good plays here and there with Davies linking up as well, but I think the best is yet to come this summer for the Reyna, Kamara, maybe Blundell partnership if they so choose. So we talk about Whitecaps not really scoring goals a whole lot, and what they need to do to score goals when the team is down 1-0. Like on Sunday, they didn't really, they pressed, but there wasn't a whole lot of chances that the Whitecaps really wanted to score. Do you think it's the players that are set up to not score goals? Is it the style? Is it the tactics, the formation? Do you think they need to change up their offensive style? Just ask you that question.
Right now, I think their offensive style is use the wings, use the wide play. I think they're set up well to succeed with the personnel that they have. What I think the problem is maybe there's a lot of rotation. But part of that is due to injury. Part of that is maybe due to trying out new things, trying out a tactical tweak to see what works. I think we can agree that they're kind of working. Like, barring that Colorado game, they hadn't lost a game. But then at the same time, they hadn't won a game. So do you really put yourself on the front foot and try to win the games? I would say yes. I mean, that's my mentality, is like, go out, try to win the game. There's no sense to try and just draw the game, unless it's a really obvious game. But I think they should go out there, so they should try to win. They should be positive, because they have a lot of exciting attacking players. Why not go out there, try to be positive? And I mean, our defense isn't good anymore right now. Can we work on that? Sure. But then if our going back to that goal differential and going back to the fact that we need to get those points if we want to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a lot of, later on the game on the Canada Day game, there was a lot of tiki-taka on the wing with, De Jong and Davies and especially with Shea later on when De Jong went to play center back. And it's frustrating to watch because there's no real direction, and I think that's where Reyna comes in and will, play a pivotal part of getting the ball from out wide, switching it to the right or what have you, maybe taking a strike on goal. But it's just been, a little disappointing to see not the same style every game, but, like the same direction, and without Reyna or without Kamara, whoever, it just changes up a little bit. And I think with Reyna back, we need consistency. We need to have guys not getting red cards, need to have players staying in the lineup. If they're not playing well, you might have to bench them. It's just the way it goes sometimes. I like when Much came on. I think he added quite a bit. Unfortunately, Watson went off, but you just have to think Aaron Mon maybe deserved a chance in that situation. He's on the bench. Why not play him?
Yeah, and he played so well at the start. It's frustrating. It must be frustrating for him because he played well. And I think, if I think back to what I was saying at the beginning of the year, he showed that he can play and he deserved his chance. Mond and Aha, maybe that would be a combination. It seemed to work, and it can work. But then you have Henry as well. He's shown that he can play at this level too. And I mean, at the beginning of the year, we were kind of thinking, is this guy going to be able to play at this level and not get injured? But so far,
he's played really well.
He's played really well.
With Fiddes and Flores released 2 days ago, who do you see coming in potentially, like just briefly, what do you see happening right now?
I don't have like a dream player to come in because I feel that we have the quality.
Yes.
We have the depth. We have the ability. Then the question is, well, and I feel like we found a good tactic as well. So then the question is, are we just getting unlucky? Or are we just not having the players have the chemistry that they should have? That's my feeling, is they don't have the chemistry yet because they haven't had the ability to play with each other for long, extended periods of time.
Which is crazy to say this far into the season. We're what through 4 or 5 months of the season, and we haven't found chemistry yet, and that's just unbelievable to say about a team that went through preseason basically starting end of January. I think for me personally, if there was a guy I wanted to have, would have been Darwin Quintero. Obviously signed with Minnesota, hat trick yesterday against TFC. Yeah. But I mean, there's always guys that are still available. That'll be, I'm sure, rumored about in the next few weeks with the transfer window opening in a few days, 7 days here, a week. So that'll be interesting to watch. And with that, we're moving on to our last part of the show. World Cup isn't over yet, so let's play a little prediction game here with Nick. So, with the quarterfinal games starting this weekend on Friday, tomorrow morning. Score. I'm going to get each for each game a score prediction and the game-winning goal score if you so choose. So, start off with Uruguay-France. Nick, your score and your goal score.
Uruguay-France. This one for me, I think, is going to be my upset because I cannot pass up on a fantastic world-class CB pairing that they have.
Oh, Jimenez and Gideon is just exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, and they're playing that old school kind of 4-4-2. They have a very good defensive mindset.
Did you see Cavani might not be playing though on Friday?
That is true.
Yeah.
And I mean, but I think they got to try, and they got to play him as long as he's not injured.
Off the bench, anything.
Yeah.
If they can beat Portugal, I mean, France is beatable. Who's your winning goal scorer too?
I'm gonna say Suarez.
Suarez, okay.
The biter gets the goal.
Oh man. He's such a good player. I don't know why he needs to do that, but
yeah. And the score I think is going to be 1-0.
1-0. Okay. I have 3-1 France with Griezmann scoring the winner because I love his little "call me on my cell phone" celebration. Belgium, Brazil. Score, Nick, and your score.
I think it's going to be 2-1 to Brazil, and I think Coutinho is going to get that game winning.
2 upsets, really.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, Coutinho. I'm going to go with 2-1 Belgium, and winning goal score will be Lukaku because he just seems to climb up over everything in his path and had a goal in. Next up, Saturday, 3 lines, chance to keep that historic run going.
Yeah.
If you can call it that.
I think they're going to do it. I think it's going to be 1-0.
1-0?
I think Harry Kane is going to keep his goal scoring run going.
A lot of low scoring games. I like it. I'm going to say 2-0 because Sweden really hasn't. I mean, they've scored goals, but they haven't been potent offensively. So 1-0, my game winning goal scorer. I want to say Marcus Rashford. He's so fun to watch. He hasn't done a whole lot yet, but
but he's fun and he's electric. So.
Yeah, exactly. But midfield, Lingard and Ali has been exceptional as well. Croatia, Russia. Fantastic. I got to watch that PKs before the Whitecaps game in the weekend. That was fun to watch against Denmark. But
I would love for Russia to progress because I picked them.
Okay.
And they've been doing well, but I've already used up a lot of that, so I think it's going to be 3-1 Croatia, and I think Rakitic is going to get the game-winning goal.
I loved that game on the weekend, 4-3, Argentina-France. I'm going to go with the same scoreline this one, 4-3. I think it's going to be a shootout. Both teams not exactly, call me crazy, tweet at me or whatever, but just not great defensive teams. Croatia, good pairing at center back, same with Russia, a little bit older, but 4-3. And I'm going to say Croatia's winning goal scorer is going to be Ante Rebic, who's silently been one of the better players this World Cup. Plays in Germany with Eintracht Frankfurt. All right. Lastly, Nick did not get his predictions in for last week's show, so I'll just do those quickly. Review me and Joe's predictions. So we chose Felipe goal, no. Jack Price yellow, yes. Love that Wolverhampton Wolves guy. And then Tim Howard screaming on TV. I'm just going to give him a bonus point for this, say yes, because when does it ever not happen? Like, the only time Tim Howard would not be yelling on TV is if he's not playing on the game.
Yeah.
Or even if he's on the bench, he'd still be on the camera.
Yeah.
So I think that's a yes. So Joe was 2 for 3. I said Edgar Castillo 4 crosses. No, we had 2. 7 corners for the Whitecaps. Yes, I thought that was it.
That's a good shout.
I thought that was good too. And then Davies' goal. I mean, I wanted to happen. Everyone wanted to happen.
To have that, yeah.
But no. So season standings: Joe with 12, me with 9, Nick has 7. But we'll see. I'll add up maybe the bonus predictions for the World Cup and the little do you know how I'm going to be played after. So Nick, let's get your predictions in for this week.
I think Katai, hungry for a contract, so I think he's going to get a goal. I think Davies for the Whitecaps will also get a goal. And I'm going to say Aha's going to come in and he will win 7 headers.
He'll win 7 headers, okay. Joe had to redo his predictions because he thought DC United was the Whitecaps' opponent this week and he had Wayne Rooney scoring, so maybe we'll carry that over to next week. But
classic Joe.
We
Classic
love you, Joe.
Joe.
We love you. All right, he had to change it up. So he has Davies getting an assist. A lot of Davies-themed predictors. I think we need to steer away from that for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Bastian, Schweinsteiger, yellow, and Kai Kamara less than 3 shots, which is interesting because Kamara loves to shoot the ball.
Yeah,
anyways,
that's true.
And for me, I will say the Whitecaps will score 3 goals, just because they need a confidence game. I think Kendall Waston won't play. I think it'll be Mond and Aha, so I think Mond will get a yellow because he'll be energetic. And I think Yordy Reyna will be getting an assist. Alright, so that has been this week's episode 281 of the Whitecaps Preview Podcast with Nick Rubrack. Nick, before we go, how can people find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at SpaceAgeRobot56.
I thought you forgot it there.
Yeah.
And I am at _Gideon Hill on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the game versus Chicago this Saturday at 7:30 kickoff on TSN. Thanks again, and enjoy the match.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.